Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Today, my guest is Fred Nzeko. We also could be, he's a lawyer and public affairs analyst. As always, Fred, thanks a million for coming along.
Many thanks, Yori. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Now, you're a lawyer, so the whole matter about the MBA supporting autonomy for the judiciary, which JUSUN has been, promoting for quite a bit now, it looks like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, by which I mean the governors are saying through their governors forum that we're all on the same page. Every concerned, interested party, we're all on the same page. There is no, we support it, we agree with it, but we have to be careful about the implementation. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually implement it. And then, because of that, paraphrasing Kayode Fayemi, the chairman of the Governors Forum, he is saying that definitely by the end of May, it will be in full swing. But I now notice that you might have been among the lawyers that in Lagos marched or intended to march all the way to the governor's office. At the end of the day, you reached a compromise that, look, all of you can't come in, please. Nominate 4 of you. Come and deliver your instrument, your letter to the governor. So, first of all, how did that go? And what do you think about Fayemi saying that I think he actually said, are on all fours. That is all of us.
The governors have no option, Yori, I can tell you, because what JUSUN and the members of the Legislative Assembly Forum, what I mean, workers of the legislative assemblies at the various states, what they are asking for are things that are already provided in our laws. What they are asking the governors to do is simply to implement the provisions of the law.
And also there was an executive order by the president.
It's as simple as that. There is a surplusage by way of the executive order. Now, instead of the governors to latch in on the provision of the law, they are more interested in attacking the provisions of the executive order. I can tell you that that executive order is not superior to the provisions of the law. It's enshrined in our constitution by way of the doctrine of separation of powers. How do you separate power? You give me power with the left hand, and you seize it with the right hand via revenue and via financial autonomy. So that does not add up at all. So the governors cannot begin to create impression that they are doing JUSUN any favor, or that they are doing members of the state legislature any legislative workers any favor, or they are doing the country or the state any favor. They are expected to be law-abiding, number one citizen of each state. And what is a citizen? A citizen is that fellow who obeys the law of the land. So if you are number one citizen and you are respected as such, you should be number one in obeying the laws of the land. And what does the law say? The law says give financial autonomy to the judiciary, to the 2 arms of government, the legislature and the judiciary. The fact that you are executive, it lies in your hands to dish out the fund, does not mean that you will now dish it out in a manner that the other arms will become beggarly. That is not the spirit of the law.
Okay, I get what you're saying now.
You don't dish it out in a manner that the other arms will become beggarly, such that if they don't obey your whims and your caprices, you now decide to outwit them using the revenue that is supposed to accrue to them. That's not the spirit and intendment of the law. The law says this so and so fund should go to judiciary, so and so fund should go to legislature. And the same law says so and so fund should go to local government. What is difficult in obeying these laws?
Okay, so where are we then? Because as the governors are saying that we have nothing against it, and that
they are pressed to the wall. They have nothing else to say. Because if they say anything otherwise,
so they are saying yay.
If they're saying anything otherwise, then they will be creating very terrible impression of themselves at that governors forum as lawbreakers, as untenable lawbreakers. So they have nothing else to say. When they said, okay, we'll begin to implement it by May, fine.
Okay.
The people they have said that before. This is not the first time.
Okay, because I was going to ask about
this. Is not the first time. So it is the experience of the people they are talking to that has informed this misbelief, this lack of belief in their statement. But I want to believe that this time around, the governors themselves must, as a matter of necessity, ensure that this financial autonomy is given to the judiciary and to the legislature. That is democracy. Otherwise, we can't be practicing pseudo-democracy to the extent that it becomes a mockery. Because if we want to be autocratic, let us say we practice autocracy. If we want to practice dictatorship, let us say we practice dictatorship. We cannot chase away the military and then plan democracy, and some people, through the back door, are acting worse than the military.
What was the written communication that lawyers of the Lagos State branch of NBA wanted to pass to Governor Sanwo-Olu, who I imagine they say in Lagos State is better?
It is the same thing that all the lawyers have passed across the nation.
Okay.
It was a nationwide march in support of Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, seeking for financial autonomy for judiciary. And what is the message? Mr. Governor, please obey the law. Grant autonomy to the judiciary and grant autonomy to the
Especially
legislature.
Financial authority.
Financial autonomy, that's what we're talking about, financial autonomy. They say he who pays the piper dictates the tune is an old acronym. And in this case, you can't begin to dictate the tune to the judiciary because you are not supposed to be the payer of the piper. The payer of the piper is Nigerian Federation.
Okay, I'm going to come back to it. But in the meantime, Kesandu in Owerri has called in. Good morning, Mr. Kesandu.
Uncle Yuri, I greet you.
Good morning, sir.
Barrister Zako, good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
You see, everybody most times will accuse Mr. President. One of the greatest challenges we're having in this country are these governors. I am telling you without apologies. These men are the major problems we're having in this country. Even do we actually need an executive order to implement what is written in white and black in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? You see, people will just wake up in the morning because they always want the people to use their whims and caprices. Because you want to come out, you buy SUVs for the judges and some other persons so that they will always implement whatever you want. And that is what holds the legislature and the judiciary at ransom, with exception to this. And my own annoyance is that even the houses of assemblies, that these people that should have stood on their own, do their thing without of the executive. Watch these people do this. They will not even caution them because if our speakers of the 36 houses of assembly have actually called these governors to order, some of them will retreat from it. And I think it's high time. God bless you, Barrister Zako. Every Nigerian lends their voices to this particular thing. These people think they are doing us favor. This is somebody's constitutional responsibility and right. And you just wake up in the morning, sit in the comfort of your zone, enjoying the taxpayers' money, and just however you think you want. We take exception to this, and enough of this. God bless the NBA for God bless Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. But the meeting, there's been a meeting of all parties in the office of the Chief of Staff to the President. So effectively, the President, he has a representative, so to speak. You were saying that you've heard, that is you as a body, you've heard this kind of thing before where Governor Fayemi, speaking for the Governors Forum, was saying that we are not a spoiler in this whole matter, and that we have to arrange how we shall operate this scheme properly, and this will not be any longer than May, end of May. When you say we've heard this before, you're talking about mistrust there. Is it the mistrust that
of course it's the mistrust. Is it the first time JUSUN is going on strike? This is not the first time. This should be about the third time they are going on strike on this same matter of financial autonomy. And at each point, how did it end? It will end in promises. It will end in pronouncements that we are going to do ABC to ensure that your yearnings and your protestations are considered. And what happens at the end of the day, once the protesters go home, the governors back down. Look at what happened between the Minister for Labor and JUSUN when a meeting was called. It was supposed to be a tripartite meeting, Minister for Labor and his team, JUSUN and their team, and then legislative assembly workers and their team. And then what happened? At the end of the day, they said the minister kept them waiting for 2 to 3 hours, and they had to leave the meeting. The minister came to explain thereafter to the media that they were trying to tie some knots, some loose ends. For goodness sake, my good brother and His Excellency Chris is receiving bashing from all corners and from all angles. But that is the dictate of his office. Now, the people now argue that if you knew we were tying some loose ends, wouldn't somebody else had come to hold brief for you? Or wouldn't somebody else been doing the tying while we hold on, while we go ahead with this meeting? And at the end of the day, the insinuation is that government only wants a breathing space for these protesters to back down, to hold on, and then they go back to it. The same problem we have with Nigerian Medical Association. The same problem we have with virtually all associations in this country. Whenever there is an issue, labor the same thing. Whenever there is issue with government will shift the goalpost, make promises that they, I don't know whether they don't intend to keep or that they just want a breather. That is that mistrust.
Or they are finding it difficult to keep for whatever reason.
Then they should let us.
They should let us know.
They should let us know.
Ijeme in Abuja, good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes. Good morning. My own contribution is this. The issue is with the governors, even the insecurity. If you look at it in this country today, the elimination of the local government system by the governors is what is jeopardizing the security of this country. As we are today as a country, what the local government is supposed to take care of, the governors are not taking care of it. And that is why we're having insecurity everywhere. The same thing with all this autonomy and whatever. So it lies in the hand of the governors. They should do their own bit before blaming the federal government. Thank you and have a good day.
Indeed, thank you very much. Are they actually blaming the federal government? Because apparently the federal government actually will get a pass mark in terms of performance in this particular respect.
Well, in this particular respect, the federal government just will have a pass mark. Yes, I agree, because there is similarly autonomy at the federal level.
Exactly.
The problem is at the state level.
At the state level.
But
so
now
what is it with the governors?
The issue is with the structure.
Okay.
The issue with the structure. The governors on their own side are saying we don't have enough to run the state because a large chunk of the things that would have given us funding is taken by the federal. Now, what comes to us is not enough. But that is a lame duck argument, because I call it a lame duck argument because to what extent have you managed the one that you have? That is the question. Each governor that comes out creates impression that it has amassed so much wealth. Where does that wealth come from? Is it not from the patrimony of the state? Is it not the same money that would have been used to develop the state? Is it not the same money that would have used to give financial autonomy to judiciary and legislature? Is it not the same money that would have gone to local government and make it a viable and formidable tier of government that is closest to the people? That the last caller said it is the failure of the local government system that has flourished insecurity in Nigeria, and I agree with him to a very large extent. Because the governors are estranged from the local level people in the villages. And what do? The closest that they have is local government that they go, and the weed has overtaken most of the places. Most of the responsibilities of local government have taken over by the governors. And then how do you do that when you don't have the funding? The money is coming from federation account, from federation allocation. And it doesn't get down to local government. Is it not hijacking? The governors have hijacked local government, and the same way they have also hijacked the judiciary and hijacked legislature. So if that is why NBA has seen it wise to support JUSUN in this strike. It doesn't mean that we are always out for strike. Strike should be the last resort. But the governors will give a promise and they will fail. So let there be a strike.
Comrade Okpanaku in Agege, did I get that right? Comrade?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fred.
Good morning, brother.
Thank you, sir. I think I am very, very happy that MP have taken this responsibility on them to support the JUSUN. Look, the governors are the most problem we are having in this country.
Let us, yes, the center has their own problem, but the governors, and that's why I keep telling people, when we are criticizing people at the helms of affairs, especially at the center, let us first of all be talking about our various states. I am on radio when I talk about Kogi State, what is happening in Kogi State, and the way that boy called Governor Yabeno is doing in Kogi State. Look, there is no single development in this state. But as you and I speak, with that money belonging to the judiciary and the legislature, that is what he's using. Today he's saying he's contesting for president. President come 2023. That there is no single road, there is no single development in Kogi State, there is nothing to show about, but celebrities keep trooping in to Kogi State every day. And as these people are coming, they are going back with money. But what are we talking about? Are even the state lawmakers ready for this autonomy? That is one thing we should know. I may go with the judicial staff, but the state assembly members are not even ready because they know what they are gaining from these governors, and they are just like tools in the hands of the governors. And that's why we are where we are today. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, comrade. Fred, as you say that MBA is sort of giving us support to the issue of JUSUN simply because of the lie of the ground. It's an injustice. It's irregular. It's improper. There is the law. They are infringing the law. Then there's also the executive order by the president. Is it not possible, as lawyers will do? After all, lawyers will take government to court if they feel that if there is a need and it can be done. Why is there a problem in this?
How many matters have lawyers gone to court that government have actually implemented thereafter? There are, but not many. Because the challenge is the harvesting the fruit of the judgment. Why would a governor wait to be taken to court on a matter that is very clearly written in our constitution?
Yeah, but they don't seem to be
willing. Is it not the same governor is it not the same constitution that has given the governor authority to sign the budget and spend money from that budget? So why would the governor now find it difficult? And that is why, you see, where the governors are beginning to give their firm promise. Okay, we'll start in May, because the president at the federal level is determined with that executive order to begin to withdraw the money at source. And the essence and the import of this protestation is that we are giving firm support to the presidency to do so. But we want to do that very carefully so that we don't create dictatorship. We don't do what we call the dictatorship dynamics. Shift that dictatorship from the state to the federal. Because what it now means is that the very moment the federal government begins to tamper with the fund that goes to the state, there are also people who may want to abuse that opportunity at the center. And that's why we want the governors to be wise. Because if they are not wise and they want to hold on to their dictatorial tendencies against judiciary and legislature, and the people push the center to begin to withdraw this money at source. Remember that even MFLA told them that you have not paid back the loan we gave you. So you have not paid the loan we gave you. So we cannot continue to practice this kind of pseudo-federalism. You want to practice federalism.
One moment. Chukwuemeka in Abuja, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
To your guests.
Thank you.
Morning. Please, I would like to disagree first with your guest, saying that the governors doesn't have enough money to run their state because of this, because of that. See, Uncle Yori, the truth of the matter is, our governors are living extravagant lives. If they can cut down their expenses, if they can cut down their expenses and begin to emulate more of prudency in the way they run their affairs of the state. I think there's enough money to allocate to other arms of government to run their business. Take for instance, I tell people that, see, remember the last time I called, the other day we were discussing about insecurity. I said, see, the problem, I'm from Abia State. The truth is that the problem in my own state has nothing to do with the federal. My state governor has been sleeping. Go there, there's no project going on. There's no infrastructure going on. When you go to the local government, you won't see anybody. You only see them at the end of every month when they want to share money, collect salaries and everything. But if to make every arm independent, making sure that they have their resources to run their own affairs, making sure that they do their own business without the interference of the state government, leaving all arms to live up to their responsibility, our country will be a better place. But in a situation where you see a governor living like a lord, like a don, come on, how he won't take us anywhere. So the truth of the matter is, it's high time they realize that they should begin to give independence and autonomy to these other arms of government, like the judiciary, the legislature, and the local government, so that the country can begin to work for us all. Because
all right, then.
Try to corner them and begin to see how you can bring them to your fold and toy them like your boy. It's not helping anybody.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Chukwuemeka.
Very quickly, let me correct Chukwuemeka. We are on the same page. I didn't say that the governors, I'm not making case for the governors. I didn't say that they don't have money to run the state. I said they claim. They claim that they don't have enough to run the state, which we said that was why I said that is a lame duck excuse, because every state has enough resources. Enough. Governor Peter Obi of Anambra State has proven it, that there are enough resources to run a state. When he left Anambra, did all the wonderful things he did, and left 75 billion naira in the coffers for his successor. And he says it everywhere he goes, that this is not rocket science. Cut down expenses of government. And most of those expenses are unnecessary expenses. Why would a governor, Yori, for example, go with a retinue of 25 cars?
And now there are no regulations about that. So every governor is interpreting the matter the
that
way
is
he
why
sees
I
fit.
say that at Governors Forum, they are supposed to do positive peer review and not to compete in extravagance, in wealth amassment,
which is
primitive amassment of wealth. That is what Nigerians perceive that the governors do at that forum. Instead of them to sit down and say, look, brother, this thing you are doing in your state is very good, or how did you do it? That's what we expect. An intelligent man learns from the next intelligent man. That is wisdom. Wisdom does not mean that you must invent the wheel. If any governor gets something that is good in agriculture, in infrastructure, in everything, you expect the next governor to say, come, my brother governor, how did you do this? And adapt it to your state, towards the progress of your state. Every state can, at least to a large extent, do what it should do, while we are still yearning for restructuring towards true fiscal federalism.
Ada in Jos. Good morning, ma'am.
Hello. Good morning. Ada from JUSUN.
Please go ahead.
Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
I'm happy that NBA has woken up from their slumber, to stop this constitutional sacrilege as far as I'm concerned. How can we have a constitution and the governors will not want to obey it? I find it ridiculous when one of the governors saying that they want to do it, they have accepted it, it's just implementation. What kind of English is that? What I want to know here is that it's unfortunate that some governors have keyed into it. So those states have done enough solidarity for that on behalf of the ones that have not done it. So maybe they can, shelve it. But for the rest, they can either continue or put a proviso that by that May deadline they said they have given, that if nothing is done about it, if it's not done, they will still go back to on strike. So those are the two options now. But as for this sacrilege will stop. I remember very well, Mr. Yori, if you remember one of your programs, I asked you one question. I said, who is supposed to enforce the law? I know that the enforcement of laws is the police. But why I asked that question was, even the police, with the judicial inquiry going on, some of the judgments passed on some of the people who took cases there, to that panel of inquiry. 2017, the police themselves did not even obey the court order. So what was the position of the NBA? That's why we're having this constitutional sacrilege always happening. We just have to do something to make our democracy work. There's some otherness in madness, honestly speaking. But that's Nigeria. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you very much for calling in, Ada. It can be bewildering to people who especially look at it simplistically. Governors, you would expect, will be among the very first people that have to be law-abiding.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
And now the lawbreakers.
Well, exactly.
Of course, that's what it is. They are lawbreakers. The law is there.
And they seem to be
clearly written in black and white, and it is the same paper, the same document that has given them authority that they are flaunting around as executive governors. You see, that word executive, it goes into the heads of Nigerian governors. Executive.
Are all the
that word executive goes into their heads.
Are all the governments of the federation, well, governors and governments, guilty of this, or are there some that
There are some
that are not all part of this.
Not all, but a very minute some.
So even if it is one,
yes,
that one is showing that it can be done.
Of course, it can be done. But then others will now say, "Oh, it's because your state is rich." In I think it was around 20, when Rotimi Amechi was governor of Rivers, Rivers State Judiciary was on strike for almost 18 months on this same issue of autonomy. Nothing happened in Rivers courts for 18 months. I remember vividly because we had some very crucial matter that we needed to trash there, and then we were helpless. That's why that one didn't leave my memory. Now, that tells you that it is not even a function of the wealth of the state. Because a state like Rivers, for example, is ordinarily a rich state. Ordinarily. By derivation.
Yes.
All right?
Sorry, on this subject, Lagos State, for instance,
yes.
Is Lagos State a good state, or is it like the rest of them?
Lagos State is like the rest of them. Lagos State
Bashiru in
like
Jos. Good morning, sir. Bashiru in Jos, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Well, carry on, please. We're waiting for you.
Hello?
Good morning, Mr. Bashiru. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, my brother.
Go ahead,
please. My contribution this morning is nothing, is just to say that the most problem we are having in this country is the governors. The governors, they are the ones giving us problem in this country. Because if you look into all this problem that is facing in the country, from the beginning, federal government has given governors most of the things that they will take care of the state, but what are they doing it? If you go to some of the local government, you see there's nothing working there. And most of them, they are just preparing for themselves and their family, buying properties for them. And what are they doing for the state? What are they doing for the local government? So as for my boss did that, he said the truth. I'm supporting him. He said the truth about all this kind of thing. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Can you ask a question about Lagos State?
Yes.
The problem is that it runs in degrees. Some governors, assuming 100 billion, let's say, for example, is supposed to go to Judiciary, and the governor releases 50. Some other governor, 100 billion, will release 40. Some other 100 billion will release only 20. So it graduates.
They offend in degrees.
They offend in degrees. Lagos, at a point for 8 years, had a governor that is a lawyer. All right? And he did a lot when Fashola was in power. He did a lot to enhance, give first lift to the judiciary, among other things that he did. Some other states that are not that lucky. I mentioned here, Yori, that in some states, some customary courts and magistrates courts sit under mango trees in this country.
And that doesn't...
It still happens till tomorrow.
It doesn't need to be.
You understand what I'm talking about? Sit under mango trees. So what kind of justice do you expect from such locations? Look, judgment is judgment, whether from customary court or from Supreme Court. It is judgment. And if you don't provide the facilities for the person that is sitting in judgment to dish out credible, fair, equitable justice to the people, then you are hurting nature. You are not only hurting the citizens, you're also hurting
nature. And those
nature.
things you just said, I recall, because we were both here, when Fashola was governor in Lagos State, maybe because he was a lawyer, all sorts of advances came to the judicial system.
Because he understood the rot in the system.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of turnaround.
And there was.
Go to other states. Go to other states. A lot of them. Like, for example, when Mr. President himself said judiciary was his problem, he didn't know that the major problem was the governors, because they did not allow the judiciary to work. So I'm happy that he gave this executive order, which is adding salt to the already provided provision in the Constitution.
Okay. Roslyn in the UK, good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling from United Kingdom, London to be precise.
Good morning, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to say that, like other caller says, I think the problem with Nigeria, the governors, they are the problems we are. They feel so big as if they are gods to people. So I look at, for instance, a governor of Oyo, Seyi Makinde, is going to build 1.5 billion, as I read, in Abuja for the governors and deputy governors to be staying. That the old good they have there is old. To me, it's a stake. It's madness. I don't understand. How come to this country to view what is going on in this country where we are? Nigeria, we need a drastic overhaul. All our governors, they have something in their brain that they don't know what they are doing.
Oh dear.
So the JUSUN, in support of them, they must not call it off.
Okay.
Let them continue until they answer. And even the local governments, we are fed up with what is going on in Nigeria. All the lunatics that they put there, they must fight them. All the governors, they don't have the common sense. Let them use their common sense when they come to abroad and see what is going on here. We are fed up. That is our country, and we are not going to take that no for yes.
Okay.
Please tell them, let them know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roslyn. Roslyn calling in from the UK. A very angry Roslyn.
Roslyn has imported UK semantics into Nigerian environment, and that is why it is hurting to the ear. But that is where it is said abroad.
Yes.
They call they said in Spain.
But still,
we call it famine instrument here.
Yeah,
we
still,
call it famine instrument.
She was pretty harsh in some areas. Maybe it's a
why would a governor move with a convoy of 25 vehicles if not lunacy? Why? If not lunacy?
And it costs money.
And huge money.
It costs money.
Huge money. Why? Well, why would a governor acquire primitive wealth that he does not need all over the place when the people are suffering?
But
was he voted for that?
But you have said it is not all Nigerian governors.
It cannot
the governors that are exceptions, the people of the states are lucky.
We are not seeing the exceptional ones. They come once in a twilight. Once in a while, one throws up. So we are not seeing them.
So because most of the people that have called in
today, and that is why I say the people themselves should soak in part of the blame. Because we over-glorify the people that we elect to serve. We over-glorify them.
Well, that's our problem. That's our problem.
You might call it cultural.
If you ask Roslyn that just called in now, she doesn't see a member of parliament who comes in and everybody begin to do ranka-dede. She doesn't see, it's like you go your way, I go my way. But that you can't. That is our problem. But that is Nigeriana. That is Nigeriana. And that's what gave birth to 25 convoy cars.
If we practice democracy that is a universal phenomenon, we must take it to that universal level. We must not Nigerianize democracy.
Okay, let's hear it from Emmanuel. Good morning, Emmanuel in Warri.
Good morning, Uncle.
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
My correct name is Mohammed.
Oh, Mohammed. Very sorry about that. Good morning, sir.
No problem, Uncle Yori.
Okay, sir.
It's one of those things. I want to thank you for the guest we are having there. I mean,
Fred and
wonderful analysis. I must say I enjoyed the analysis and his contribution this morning. Thank you very much, the guest.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Only there was an amount of money former Governor Peter Obi left in Anambra State. That is an issue of contention. I just want to clear that air. Even Peter Obi himself did not claim he left 75. Rather, 72 was claimed by one Mr. Chife. But for checking it, Peter Obi in 2018 in an interview, he granted that he left 30 billion naira in Anambra coffers and $150 million. Even though the current government is also disputing it because he claims you left so amount of money and you left debt to be settled. That's what I want to clear. Thank you very much, analyst, for a good work you are doing.
All right, then. Thank you very much. A disputation about facts now. But I think whereas we take kindly what you have, said, Fred,
I am from Anambra State, and I can tell you better.
Yes, and he is from Delta State, and he is contributing to
I can tell you better, but that's not the issue on the table.
It isn't.
But it's always a pointer.
But the principle of
Peter Obi is always a pointer to good governance.
Of what is doable, with sincerity.
Because Anambra State ordinarily is, as at then, was not an oil-producing state. Even today that they say we have found oil, we have not started the derivation. enjoying the derivation. So if he was able to do what he did, and he has come out to tell the public the simple formula. And what is the formula? Cut down unnecessary wastages.
Peter Obi
it's
was
as simple
a different
as that.
kind of a guy.
That is the kind of a guy that we want.
He was a different kind of a guy.
That is the kind of people that we want in governance. So the more we have people like that,
he didn't stand very much on ceremony.
The more we have people like that, the better for the system, and the less we talk ourselves hoarse and protest on the street over autonomy to judiciary, autonomy to local government, autonomy to legislature. And the more the funds of the states are utilized for the interest, welfare, betterment, growth, development of the people.
Which is what all the governors want to claim.
That is what government is all about.
And that is what all the governors are claiming, we want to claim, is what they are engaged with 24/7. However, just about everybody who has called in, without exception almost, in fact,
without almost exception.
Yes, is that the problem of Nigeria is the government. Now, it's not today we've been hearing that the governors are too powerful. Well, in fairness, every office, we also heard that the president of Nigeria is too powerful. Now we're hearing that the governors are also too powerful.
Those who claim that the problem is the governors are saying so on the heat of the moment. By the time you x-ray the federal level, you will now know that the governors are not only the problems, that the problems are the whole political elite in Nigeria. If it is cultural, we need to change it. If it is structural, we need to change it.
But that's not going to happen overnight. I'm happy you're saying this. I'm happy you're saying this, that these issues, they didn't just attach themselves to us. People have even analyzed it and say that part of these are actually relics of our colonial times, and that they inherited these from the colonial guys who left, and then they just took on all of those things. Today we have a Rankadede. Today you see a governor, not that I've seen that myself in Lagos State, but you see a governor with 25 cars in his entourage as totally unnecessary in the eyes of some. But these things, we inherited them, and the people allowed it to continue. Nobody protested. Before you respond, let me bring in Stephen, who is waiting to contribute in Makurdi, Benue State. Good morning, Stephen. I lost Stephen. Stephen, see if you can call in again. Are we not partly to blame? Now that we're talking about it, is it not what we're allowed that the governors are doing? Did anybody ever protest about this whole matter before?
Your people protest.
In a meaningful way?
Yes.
No, discussing this matter in pepper soup joints is not protesting.
Discussing it in national media like this is enough.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
In national media like this, discussing it in town hall meetings are enough. Discussing it on pages of newspapers are enough. Discussing it at various intellectual forums are enough.
And now this action by JUSUN is part of it.
This is now protest.
Yes, this is now
protest.
It
is unfortunate that leadership would wait until we hit the street. It is very unfortunate. Protests and strikes are supposed to be the last straw. All right? We are supposed to have exhausted all meaningful options and opportunities. We are supposed to.
But the governors seem to, not so much the governors alone, but the governors are part of it. Our people seem to understand us, those that we put in power, in positions to
Only when we protest.
Well, they understand that, if you draw it out long enough, they'll
by the time we begin to discuss,
lose interest.
By the time we begin to discuss legislation now, and people will tell you that legislature is the problem of Nigeria, that we don't need bicameral legislature. What is House of Reps and Senate doing when they, at every point, for any law to come out, they need for concurrence?
Yes.
What is done at the chambers of the Senate, the same thing will be repeated at chambers of the Reps. Then a joint committee will sit together, and then one law will come out. You now ask, why not have only one? For a country that is developing, Senegal has proven to us that you can shrink from bicameral to unicameral legislature.
That will reduce.
It will reduce the burden on government.
And also reduce.
Everything that will reduce burden on recurrent expenses and release money for capital expenses is what Nigerians are yearning for.
Okay, the release money part. Because I was just saying that all of this will reduce the national cake and the extent to which it is shared around. But forget that irreverence. Ibrahim in Kaduna, good morning, sir. Are you still there?
Good morning, Uncle Yore, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning, sir.
In fact, this is another quite interesting program we brought into point. You see, our governors, they are making themselves an emperor. If not, look at how they are exposing themselves now. Everybody knows. Everybody now put the blame on the governor, because the way they see themselves, most people always see that Mr. President or any president of this country are obstacle. No, our governor are the obstacle of this country. The law. But they are the ones trying to jeopardize that very particular law that gives them all the right to doing what they are doing. But today, at least, everything is not clear that yes, our leader will need to and reset their psyche, because I'm very sorry to use it with all due respect. Our governors, they know what they do. They really know it. You see, many things go wrong in this country. That is why they are trying to also deny what the president has put in place. Mr. President is justice. They call it and commander-in-chief. And them themselves are executive governor. Quite okay, it's a good title. But they should know what to do for the people, the masses. All these things are why. This is the privilege of the judiciary. Let everybody at least exercise his own right, because why? We have three arms of government: executive, legislative, and judiciary. Why everybody will not at least continue on his own way? Because this is if this thing continues, we now have to have a check on each other. So thank you very much for now. Since everybody have known that yes, the governors are our problem, we have not seen them all. That is why all of them, they are shivering the very particular place they touch, because they are like when you touch the tail of the lion, you know how it feels. So, and to me, the last thing I will say is no amount of makeup that will beautify a monkey, because monkey and is a funny younger. Thank you very much for hearing my call back.
Thank you very much for calling in, Ibrahim. So everybody has sort of, the governor, they have the governors walking the plank this morning. That, look, if the governors wanted to perform better than they are performing, they can.
Absolutely.
But
I agree with
it's
that.
a power thing. Unfortunately, people in the absence of explanations will read it as wanting to do this, paying the piper and dictating the tunes business. But you can't do that if we say we want proper democracy. If we say we want real democracy,
yes,
the judiciary is an integral part, and in fact, an indispensable part.
It's not just indispensable. It's the bulwark.
There you go.
It's the hallmark. Is the benchmark of democracy, because it is within the judiciary that people get justice.
Exactly.
And democracy is all about justice.
Wherever anything is in
contention. Yes.
It is the judiciary.
People get justice.
Now you're impoverishing this very judiciary.
So how do you want them to dispense justice? You're demeaning them, you're impoverishing them, you're starving them of funds, of facilities, of the wherewithal, the ways and means to dispense with that justice.
Let me put the word allegedly to that sentence I made. You're doing that allegedly, because we've not heard from the governors. We've not heard from the governors, and the governors might just very well have a case to make.
They have technically admitted that what they're saying is right. through the chairman of the Governors Forum.
Let me bring in Mazi Okorafor. Good morning, Mazi in Arochukwu.
Good morning, Tragedy. Good morning, Barrister Fred.
Morning, brother.
Barrister Fred, you see, there is need for the governors to go relief from Governor Wike. You see, when you look at judiciary in Rivers State, you see what is happening now. 6 fine structures with computerized system. Now, ask me, which other states do we have such facilities? Maybe Lagos. Now, we have passed that era that the governors should sit down within the 4 walls of the state government house, decide what will happen within the state, which is not healthy. Do you know that the number of people that are still in cell, police cell, and even prison that are waiting there are so many? So I don't know the type of joy the governors derive for seeing people languishing in all this place, which is not healthy. Now, we have to be very careful, because the same people that are languishing are the same people come back to talk to rappers of different form when they leave that place, with that aggressiveness, with that anger, with that frustration. Governors should try as much as possible, bring out the money that already be earmarked for judiciary and make the judiciary be functional. All our judiciary shop office should be computerized with digital system. Everything when the judge comes to check, you don't need to be writing paper. When I see people with all these files of books, paper. At this modern age, judiciary system in Nigeria is still going with piece of papers. It is not healthy. Now, Mr. Fred, how do you find it when you go to the court, when the court that they say that they are looking for one sheet of paper that missed from one document? How will you find? Until you start go back to square one, which is not healthy. But the thing is this, The governors have to be very careful because at the end of the day, when they leave office presently, the whole thing will bounce back. There's what we call boomerang effect in whatever you do. Whether they like it or not, it will still bounce back to them when they leave office. The area they sit up now and make judiciary to be functional, to be independent, the better for our judicial system and reduce all these people languishing in the cell, which is not it. Honestly speaking, it's very, very annoying. See rats. Go to Nigerian court today, see rats, see cockroaches. Are you talking about mosquito? Hallelujah. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoro.
Yes, it is good to isolate some states and say the governors have done well. But it is not the duty of the governor to provide computer to the judge. I keep saying it. It is not the duty of the governor to provide those buildings. With autonomy, the chief judge
they
of
know
the,
what they,
of the state, they know what they want.
What they need.
They know what they need.
They know
where to channel their resources. The important thing is that let the resources come and then they will know how to spend it. Exactly. So that you will know where to ask questions and who to hold responsible and accountable.
Indeed. So, well, all you respected governors up and down the country, you've heard it this morning. If you haven't heard it yourself, because they're very busy people, they might not actually be watching television. Some of them might be. Their representatives have heard it, and just about everybody thinks that this is a problem that is caused by the governors' recalcitrance, let it be said. And people are saying that if the governors wanted to do better, they can do better. I guess there's no more to be said in addition to that. We do know that the Governors Forum has said that give us until May ending, it will begin, to which we have said that, okay, we'll wait, but we've heard that before. Now the governors are also hearing all of this. Governor Kayode Fayemi himself is also hearing all of this. I wish we could get the governor in, but you know, they're too busy. They usually don't come in on matters like this to come and tell it to us from their
it's not because they are
perspective.
too busy, because they are too guilty.
I have no, well, okay.
I tell you, because they are too guilty. There are so many issues that they cannot explain.
Okay.
Whenever you bring that, ask them what is the reason for going with a convoy of 25 vehicles.
Okay, that's your comment. Barrister Fred Ezeako, as we have been called. You're my friend, Fred. Thank you very much, as always.
Many thanks.
Fred Ezeako, that's has been on our program today, and we thank him very much for it. Now, thank you outside there also for calling in. And as I leave, remember, be safe as possible. There still is a COVID emergency. I was even reading something about a Nigerian variant or strain that is worrying them. The UK, it is said, was stumped by what they refer to as a Nigerian variant. I said, come and see trouble. Which one is Nigerian variant again? Anyhow, mask up.
Let NCDC.
Wash your hands.
Let NCDC handle that.
And socially distance, among other, protective measures that you can take. See you tomorrow, God willing. I'm Biori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.